How realistic is it for the Prime Minister to stay on for another 3 months or so? And we'll be looking at the likely candidates to succeed him. So first tonight, let's join our political editor, Chris Mason, in Downing Street.
Huw, this time last night you and I were in conversation here in Downing Street, reflecting, weren't we, on the brutal exercise of prime ministerial power from Boris Johnson with the sacking of a senior cabinet minister. There was a swagger from Downing Street and a determination and a defiance to carry on. How things changed. This morning there was a stony silence. I was calling people in this building from around about 6:30 this morning. Not a single call or text or WhatsApp was replied to until around 9 o'clock. Why? Because Boris Johnson and his advisors were in there in private contemplating his future, and shortly after 9 o'clock we learnt he was leaving. At breakfast time there was talk of a constitutional crisis, a Prime Minister who wouldn't budge and more ministers resigning. But just after 9 o'clock, news Boris Johnson would resign today. This, the most powerful street in the country, suddenly packed. Those arriving for work here capturing the moment too. At lunchtime, a lectern. Those normally inside, outside. An audience awaits. And then a moment at once personal, political and constitutional.
Hi everybody. It is clearly now the will of the Parliamentary Conservative Party that there should be a new leader of that party and therefore a new Prime Minister. So I want to say to the millions of people who voted for us in 2019, many of them voting Conservative for the first time, thank you for that incredible mandate. And the reason I have fought so hard in the last few days to continue to deliver that mandate in person was not just because I wanted to do so, but because I felt it was my job, my duty, my obligation to you to continue to do what we promised in 2019.
He fought hard and lost, his cabinet and his party abandoning him, but listen still to his defiance.
In the last few days I've tried to persuade my colleagues that it would be eccentric to change governments when we're delivering so much.
This was Boris Johnson forced to articulate that his imagined future here was being crushed. The boy who dreamed of being world king, ejected.
As we've seen at Westminster, the herd instinct is powerful. When the herd moves, it moves. And my friends, in politics, no one is remotely indispensable. I know that there will be many people who are relieved and perhaps quite a few who will also be disappointed. And I want you to know how sad I am to be giving up the best job in the world. But them's the breaks.
That's life, Mr. Johnson acknowledging. A painful personal moment, a splash of history unfolding too.
Being Prime Minister is an education in itself. I've travelled to every part of the United Kingdom, and in addition to the beauty of our natural world, I've found so many people possessed of such boundless British originality and so willing to tackle old problems in new ways that I know that even if things can sometimes seem dark now, our future together is golden. Thank you all very much.
What a moment. A man who won a big majority at a general election just 2.5 years ago is going, humiliated by his party. The Boris Johnson era will soon be over. Liar! Few are indifferent to Boris Johnson, a primary colours Prime Minister, provoking colourful reactions to the near end.
A great man brought down. A great man brought down. That's all I can say at the moment. Thank you.
The country will rue this day.
They regret it like they did with Thatcher. Exactly. Yes, this will be a mistake.
But plenty of others within the Conservative Party and beyond think Boris Johnson should be standing down as Prime Minister pretty much immediately, and not just as Conservative leader. The former Prime Minister Sir John Major is among them. In a letter he wrote, the proposal for the Prime Minister to remain in office is unwise and maybe unsustainable. For the overall well-being of the country, Mr Johnson should not remain in Downing Street for any longer than necessary to effect the smooth transition of government. Sir John suggested that the Deputy Prime Minister could take over for a bit, or a caretaker Prime Minister could be drafted in. Would Theresa May fancy it?
Look, from everything I hear, and I haven't obviously heard recently, I don't think there's going to be a caretaker Prime Minister in the sense of somebody else coming in to that role.
And what does an opposition party leader do on a day like this? Well, one option is to smile and go and watch some tennis at Wimbledon, having said this about Boris Johnson.
He needs to go completely. None of this nonsense about clinging on for a few months. He's inflicted lies, fraud and chaos in the country. And, you know, we're stuck with a government which isn't functioning.
There will be an overwhelming and very widespread sense of relief today that Boris Johnson's time as Prime Minister, which should probably never have been allowed to happen in the first place, is coming to an end.
The problem is the Conservative Party, Conservative MPs have stood by him for so long. They propped him up. They enabled him to fail to lead our country properly. And my heart goes out to the millions of families and pensioners who've not been helped properly because his government has been so incompetent.
Attention now turns to those who aspire to come next in Downing Street, a fourth Prime Minister in a little over 6 years.
Are you going to make a bid for the leadership, sir?
There's the former Chancellor. The Foreign Secretary Liz Truss is likely to be in the picture.
Good morning.
And perhaps the former Cabinet Minister Jeremy Hunt too, among others. A beauty pageant to lead the country is only just beginning. And after the intrigue and anguish, plotting and resignations, a leader departs soonish.
Chris's account of the day's events there. Let's join him back in Downing Street. Can we talk, Chris, about the manner of Boris Johnson's departure when it happened, and then, of course, this row about whether he should be staying on as Prime Minister for a few more months?
Yeah, what was striking, Huw, I thought, in the immediate hours after the news that Boris Johnson was going to resign was the anger from quite a few Conservative MPs when they learnt that he would stick on for a few months whilst there was that leadership race. And that anger for some intensified because they felt there wasn't exactly skipfuls of mea culpa from Boris Johnson in that resignation speech. But the mechanisms for dislodging a Prime Minister, as opposed to a Conservative leader, are actually pretty limited. There's a nuclear option, which would be a vote of confidence in the whole government. But if Conservative MPs were to endorse that, they would bring forward a general election. And given that they currently don't have a party leader and their opinion poll ratings aren't great from their perspective, that might not be that tempting an option. The other thing that is a movable feast this summer is just how long the Conservative leadership race lasts. The predictions on that range from about 3 months to 3 weeks.